Well, welcome. We're so excited to have Nick and Adrienne here today. Let's give it up one more time for them.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. This chair is so comfy.
Very comfortable, right? Very, very nice. Well, welcome you two. I'm so excited to celebrate you and the show that is just phenomenal. I'm not sure how many people here have seen it, but if you have, okay, all right. And if you haven't, run out, go see it. These two are just spectacular, and we have a lot to cover. So, you all ready?
Let's go.
Okay, good, good. So the last 5 years is obviously a beloved show. It's the first time that it's hitting Broadway in such a big way. And I mean, you guys are the show. Like, the amount of work you put into this is unbelievable. You're on stage the whole time, basically, between the two of you. So my first question is, what made you say, I have to be a part of this production?
Well, I have loved the score for a very long time. I was first introduced to the score after my adult castmates in one of the shows I was doing on Broadway as a kid. We're talking about how great it was, and I went out with my dad to the record store to buy the album and listen to it on repeat. Probably didn't understand all of what was going on at 8 or 9, but certainly understood the music and the quality of the music and fell in love with it. And, over the years, as my life and career took kind of different shape, I thought playing the role of Jamie is a dream that would never come true, and kind of, hung on to some hope that it would. And, obviously there's been a lot of amazing productions of the show all throughout the world, and the film adaptation, which I loved. And when I first got the call that there was a production kind of coming together and the possibility of engaging in that conversation was thrilling to me, but also terrifying. And it sounded like some of you have come to the show, which we greatly appreciate. It's the very thing I love about it is the thing that makes it such an enormous hill to climb, is that it's a big sing and a big emotional journey. And I think the first question was just saying, okay, who's the creative team? And obviously our fearless leader, Whitney White, was brilliant to speak to and kind of gave me her very clear and definitive vision for what she wanted to do. And the next piece, obviously, was my co-star, Adrienne Warren, which I was over the moon about. Obviously, she's an immense talent and a wonderful person and has been a great collaborator in this. So, all the ingredients, and getting to work with, obviously, Jason Robert Brown, our composer, all the ingredients were there to do something really special, and it's been a really fulfilling run thus far.
Thanks, Nick. So my journey with the show was a little different. I was a fan of the show from afar. In musical theater class, I studied theater in school, not musical theater, but just theater. But I remember watching people sing this music in my musical theater class in high school. And the music was never given to me to perform because Kathy's never looked like me, and teachers just wants to prepare their student for roles that they think their students are gonna play, right? And so it was never given to me, but I always loved this music. And I thought, man, it's so cool, and these characters are so nuanced and special, and the music is fantastic, and you're taught in school never bring Jason Robert Brown's music to an audition because it is so hard to play. But I just fell in love with the complexity of his work. And Whitney White actually came to me. We're working on another project together, and she said, has anyone called you about the last 5 years? And I said, no, and why would they? And she said, well, I'm directing it, and I think you could be my Kathy. And I said, well, what? Because what do you mean? I just never thought that was something that I could do. And so she invited me into that conversation. And so then the next step was I'd never sung the score with Jason before. So my next opportunity was singing the music with Jason for the first time ever. It was the first time I'd ever sung that music. And it was singing it with him. And I sang 2 songs, and he looked at me and he was like, and that's it. You're my Kathy. And I was blown away, and I was in Chicago, and I will never forget. I just remember thinking, what is happening? Because I didn't even think that was a dream that I saw for myself. So for that to happen and for Jason to sign off so quickly, and for me to then have an opportunity to dive into this work, and then with Nick, who is the best teammate I could ever have doing this, it was just a joy. So it's been a blessing that I didn't expect.
Well, it's hard to imagine this show without the two of you in it. You really have cemented your places in these characters and in these roles. And there's a lot that you guys have to do on that stage. So is there a moment of the show that either currently or maybe in the past gave you a little bit of anxiety before you had to perform it, that you had to like work through and work yourself, kind of hype yourself up for it, and then you did it and you can relax? Do you still have that, or was there a moment?
No, I mean, for me, because it was very different. I think every Kathy that I saw, I didn't see myself in her. And so I had to, in a way, create a Kathy that I saw myself in. A lot of the Kathys are very, there's a power that I have internally just because, and I think it's frankly just because I walk through the world in a black body, right? Like I walk through the world knowing that I walk into a store and I'm not necessarily looked at the same way other Kathys are looked at. And so I walk in with a bit of a power and an armor that I have to, and just in life. And so for me, it was about finding a Kathy that had agency over her life. It then became a story about this is a woman who does everything she can to get hired, but no matter what she does, she can't get hired. And that has happened to me. I've been in this industry where it didn't matter how well I sung. I could be singing circles around people and I still wasn't getting hired. And so Jason and I really sat down and said, how do I make this make sense? And I was like, because now I'm coming back winning a Tony, so how do I make this make sense?
Subtle flex.
No.
Subtle flex.
But I really wanted to tell a story because it's a story that I've lived.
Yeah.
Where no matter what I did, I couldn't be seen and I couldn't be hired. I had that summer stock experience in Ohio. I have so many friends who are so talented. It is not always about your talent. Sometimes it's about timing. It's about where you are in the world. And I wanted to bring that story to my Kathy. I wanted to find a Kathy that had strength and agency. And so when you see us in the beginning of the show, when I get that letter, Kathy is actually in our production, just booked her first Broadway show right before she's broken up with. And that is the power that I wanted to bring to this character that I hadn't seen before. And that was nerve-wracking, but I'm really happy with that choice.
Yeah. Well, we see it. And Nick, for you, you're no stranger to the theater. You've done it over the course of your career, and you've been on many different types of stages in your life. How has your other career, being part of the Jonas Brothers, influenced or affected the role that you take on in this show? Like, how does that skill set weave its way into what you do in the Broadway stage?
That's a great question. I think that I have always been a person with real ambition and drive, and in a lot of moments in my life that's served me and been something that's helped me achieve some of the things I've set out to do. It's also the very thing that can get in your way, though. Some of that ambition, can make you lose sight of the moments and not really enjoying things as much as you should be. And it's sort of a stupid thing to say, take a second, and enjoy something. But it really, when I look back at my career with the Brothers, there's a lot of moments where I was so focused on the next thing, and even thinking about like, how is this all going to go away, as opposed to looking out and being really truly present and grateful for what I was experiencing. And I think that experience and getting to a place in my own life where I better understood how to step back and sort of have that moment of gratitude allowed me to have perspective that perhaps Jamie, the character that I play in the show, doesn't have, or maybe he learns it just after our show ends in his life timeline. But when I had the first conversation about this show and playing this role, there was sort of two themes that I felt my own life and career experiences and personal experiences really helped inform how I would approach the character, and that was what I just mentioned about ambition and taking those moments to appreciate. But also being, a father has really informed every decision I make in life, but specifically the work I do both with the Brothers and the songwriting I do, any type of creative outlet, but also as an actor and a performer in this show, a deeper perspective of just life, and it's impossible to ignore that becomes a part of the process and the lens you see pretty much everything through.
Do you feel like you're at a point where now you can kind of stop and be more present and take everything as it's coming, or you're still working on that?
It's always a work in progress. I think that I'm at an interesting moment where we're right in the heart of this run, and 14-week run. It's always been that, and we've got about, I think, 5.5, 6 weeks left, which
So get your tickets now.
exactly. And I think I placed a lot of my mental focus and brain power, obviously, just in this for a bit, because you kind of have to lose yourself in it and become, you got to buy in all the way to the thing to do the best you can, really. So I'm in this moment now where I'm starting to think, after this is done, I have these other things I have to be thinking about, and that's really exciting. But I'm like starting to like shift gears a little bit, and so while I feel like I'm being present, I'm always pushing myself to be more present and in the moment. And it's not just always about appreciating things; it's also about challenging yourself in the moment to apply just a little bit more of that focus and that care. Because it's just the two of us on that stage, there's nowhere to hide in this material, and because of the way in which it's staged and performed and all the elements, it really requires like 150% of each of us. And what's been interesting is this sort of this real need to sort of lean on each other at different points, both on stage and off stage, just to stay locked in. And I think that that is a crucial part to anybody that ever takes on this show, is you got to do it with somebody that you can really like play tennis with, back and forth, or ping pong or whatever. It's a needed part of the process.
And we see that for sure throughout the show, but especially in the wedding scene, right? Because it's one of the moments where you're in the same timeline and you're so present with each other on that stage. Talk to me about what that scene means for you guys.
It's just all about trust. God, Nick Jonas is such an amazing human, you guys, and this could have gone so badly. And I remember someone asked, like, "What is it like working with Nick Jonas?" I'm like, "Oh, right, he's a rock star, right?" And I have this whole moment where I never ever felt that from him from day one. He's always. I think Nick takes care of so many people in his life, including this cast, including everyone. I think the first day he brought all of us gifts, anything that we would possibly need, like water bottles and like takeaway coffee mugs. Like he brought us all that first day
of
school. And I was like, whatever, I brought you guys hugs. Like, he's just always thinking of how to show up for everyone else. So I think for me, I can only speak for myself, is I'm just trying to figure out how can I be there for him, right? And we really just lean on each other. And I know that when I walk on that stage, no matter what I'm going through in my life, and no matter, because that affects you sometimes at work, I know that he has my back, and he knows that I have his. And if I see him fall, I'm gonna catch him. And if he sees me fall, he's gonna catch me. And so because we have that trust, it can just be fun, and we can just be present. And there are times where we'll, meet up after the show and be like, "Man, I was definitely on another planet." And he'd be like, "Oh, I didn't feel that." I'm like, "I was," And we're just very open about that. And it's a trust that I think is so necessary in this show, and we just have that with each other.
Was there a moment where you can remember, okay, she's got my back and he's got my back? Like, did something happen in rehearsals or when you met where you fully were like, oh, no, I could really trust this person?
Well, yeah. I did catch you one time.
Like he was falling and you caught him?
I sure did.
Okay.
I don't think he knew that, but you were falling.
When was that?
It was during tech, but it's fine.
Oh, thanks. I think it happens, on stage, short in the process of, rehearsals and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of times, and there's been a few moments, I think it's where we sort of sidebar about a collective, sort of a stance we need to take on something, either creatively or little things like even scheduling for events and promo. Like we have to be aligned and be sort of a united front. Otherwise, the balance gets all funky. And you know, I think that is actually sort of more important at times than anything else. Is just to make sure that you're not just showing up on stage when people are watching, but when you know, you need to look out for each other behind the scenes too.
Yeah, I think it was really early on. Nick came to me and was like, "Hey, we're teammates in this. Like, I have your back." He didn't have to do that, and that's all I really needed to hear. And it's true. Anything that was asked of us, he would come to me first and say, "What do you think?" And I would be like, "I don't know. What do you think?" You know. And it's just nice to hear someone say, like, "What do you think? And how are you thinking about this?" Like, he's way more famous. I had no idea how famous he actually was until we start walking down the street. But you know, he could take that and use it to his advantage. And every single moment he has really said, "See what Adrienne thinks first." And I'm like, wow, like what a class act. All right, I'm done like hyping you up now. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear, though. And I imagine you spend so much time in the theater prepping and rehearsing, putting the show together, and you know, you have your professional cap on, so to speak. But outside of the theater, what are the things you do to kind of build connection and build that bond as artists and humans? Or does it all happen in-house?
Oh, we had a nice lunch at my house with my family early on, which was great. My wife and daughter sort of helped host, and you know, a friend of mine that was visiting from out of town was there as well, and that's kind of, you know, that is what we like to do to set the stage in any project that my wife and I are doing. We love to have the creative team or co-stars around and just show, like, you know, what our life is like at home. I think it's helpful to set the stage for kind of everything, and even what to expect out of me as a professional in that setting, but also who I am around the people that I love and care about, and it's something that we like to do, basically. And we did that early on. I think it really did help set a nice sort of frame for everything. And you know, outside of that, we do a lot of really fun Broadway extracurricular activities, such as Broadway bowling.
We were on the bowling team.
And then, you know, there's not a whole lot of other time to do stuff.
Yeah.
It's pretty much full, you know, the schedule. A lot of people think, okay, it's a 7 p.m. show tonight, that's all you have going on. But there's a lot of stuff throughout the day that we're doing either to promote the show or, you know, even personal commitments and things that also have to happen. But it's a full-on schedule, for sure.
Do either of you have a goofy pre-show ritual?
Goofy. I feel like everything I do is goofy. Every once in a while, I'll have a little dance party by myself, but he knows I have dance parties. But that's just kind of about just making myself happy because I'm about to go on the craziest roller coaster ride with this show. 90 minutes of an emotional roller coaster. Enjoy. But no, nothing goofy. I don't think I have any goofy things.
Yeah, I mean, I pretend to stretch, basically. But it's not that goofy. It's just I'm not the most flexible person, and there's this platform on the stage that's just a little bit higher than this, and so it's like the perfect place to sort of like just put your leg up on and pretend like you're doing some complicated stretch. And it happens in the 2 minutes we have before the curtain comes up, and so we'll be sitting there talking about our day or whatever.
It's not pre-show. That's like showtime.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
All right, so
And he doesn't really even, like, he doesn't stretch
real
towards his
stretch.
toes or anything. He just, like, throws his leg up.
I'm not
And
flexible.
then throws it back down.
You know what? You're trying.
trying.
It's all that matters. It's all that matters. When you watch each other on stage, when you can, I guess, is there a moment that just blows you away by each other throughout the course of the show?
Yeah, I mean, there's moments that you know, stand out and that evolve over time and things that are fun to watch. You know, I think across the board for not only us but just for the show as a whole, where you start to feel like, oh, this moment locked in, or this was new tonight, and But there's a vocal line at the end of I Can Do Better Than that she sings, which you've now in the last couple like weeks started like adding new bits to and doing different things, and it's very exciting. And I'm literally, the staging is I'm just like looking at her as she does it, and it's it's amazing to hear not just the range that Adrienne has as a vocalist, but how intentional every sort of like inflection and note is, not just to sounding good, but telling a story. And that's the fun part, to get to watch the sort of excellence of that.
Thanks, Nick. I actually watch Nick a lot off stage, but I like trying to hide it so that when he doesn't actually see me watching, I shouldn't even say this, now you know. But there are times where I just marvel, and when he's singing Moving Too Fast, the energy he brings to that song is just, he brings his rock star energy to that song, and I love it. And it's just really fun to watch, and it's always exciting just to see your friends doing great work, and he does really great work in that number.
That's very kind.
And I think what's so cool, the show, of course, it's a fan favorite. The score is so beautiful. Your emotions are so beautiful. And when I saw you both, I was telling you earlier, I saw you and Tina. I loved you and Tina. You were such a rock star yourself. You also are a rock star, right? I mean, come on, there's two rock stars up here. And, for Nick, obviously, I know your music. I've seen you over the years. So when I went to see you both, I was like, let's see. Okay, let's see. Let's see what we got, right? And I was blown away by your performances. And I think it's really hard to have people forget about the pop rock star and the Tina Turner, and to transport us to a different world where we see these new characters, and you both do it. Do you feel that when you go into a project like, I gotta work a little harder to show people that I'm also this?
There's sometimes I think Lin-Manuel Miranda came to the show, and he said something. He was like, I heard like Tina come out, and I was like, you didn't hear Tina come out, you heard me. That is me when I feel a certain emotion. That is me when that's what my voice does. I actually sang rock and roll before I did Tina. That's probably why I got that job. But sometimes it is hard, especially when you have like a huge moment with a role. But I just see it as a challenge. It's a challenge for me to find more colors as an artist. It's a challenge for me to dive a little deeper and get to know myself more. I use every facility of my voice, my mix. I sing classical stuff in the show. I belt in the show. There are very quiet moments in the show. I use every part of my instrument in this show, and that doesn't happen all the time in this industry. And I'm just blessed and excited to just find more colors every single day. I'm still learning. I'm still evolving. You come see me in another show after this, you'll be like, oh, that's different too. Because hopefully I'm still challenging myself to do more and to learn more. And I never want to stop learning. And I will fail at times. That happens, and I will. But I'm up for the journey. And it's been such a delight to get to do something where I get to just grow.
What about you?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that our investment in someone's previous work makes us question their ability to do something else. But it does happen, and it's a strange psychological thing that I'd love to speak to a professional about, because because we sit there and we go, well, they were brilliant in this other thing, or I know them for this, where they had a certain amount of notoriety. And then we're wondering if they can achieve something else or a different texture. At the core of it, they're a storyteller, they're a songwriter, they're a performer. They did something that struck a chord, and they can probably do it again if they tap back into that source. And I think it's a thrilling thing to be in a spot where people are curious and even questioning if a performance or an actor or whatever can get there or can transform. The challenge is exciting and sort of a thrilling thing, but it can't become the North Star. If in my experience, anytime I've sort of led creative with, I hope I can prove this, I end up falling flat on my face.
Yeah.
When I lead with, this is true to me, and this I think applies most to my songwriting. If I've been in scenarios where my goal is to come out with a hit, right? And every single time I do that, it's not a hit. But when I tap into something that's true, or an experience I've had that's real, I'm often either left with a result that I'm really proud of, or it reaches people and connects because there's something inherently, worthy of that connection in there. It's true, it's real, it's a real life experience. And in the same way with a performance like this, there was no other way to approach it than trying to do something that felt real and authentic. And yes, there were, I think for both of us, a lot of questions about how we would portray these characters and how we would either rise to the occasion or not. But I'm very proud of the fact that our work started with trying to do something true and real and authentic. And, that was the goal. And if nothing else, we achieved that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want to speak to something else. I think we live in a time of instant gratification, and theater doesn't really work like that. Theater takes time. Performances take time to evolve. When I got here on Broadway to do Tina, I had already done the show on the West End for a year and a half. And I want you guys to know I didn't get Tina Turner's approval for that performance, probably not until a few months into the run. So it takes time for greatness. And just like an athlete practices, it takes time and shows come to Broadway immediately these days. Or a lot of times, shows used to go regional, they used to tour, and then they come to Broadway. And by that time, that cast knows what their body feels like doing the show in Colorado. They know what the show feels like doing it in Chicago. They know what they need. They know everything. And by the time they get to Broadway, they could do that with their eyes closed. They could do the show with their eyes closed. That doesn't happen anymore because shows are so expensive. So now in a time where people are posting bootlegs immediately, or you're trying to get your show on social media and seen behind the scenes in rehearsal, there is no veil for anyone to fall down or get back up or evolve in their show. And it's really sad because now I feel like artists don't have that protection of evolving that they used to. Janet Jackson didn't become Janet Jackson overnight. Michael Jackson didn't become Michael Jackson overnight. And we don't have that protection anymore because everything is on our phones all the time. And so when I see that the industry can be very harsh at times to certain individuals or certain shows, it's like, you have to give that show a chance. Yeah. We were just talking about a show that opened this year that was probably gonna close. And because it wasn't given a chance, and now it's one of the top contenders for Best Musical. Look it up. And I'm just, and it's just, we have to give ourselves as artists an opportunity to grow, evolve, rehearse, become great. You don't get a Tony overnight. I got a Tony because it was almost 3 years of work before I got to the Broadway stage.
Yep. Ooh, I like this. This conversation is fun. I like this.
I've been wanting to say that.
You know what? Good for you, though. Good for you, because I think art is one of the most important things in the world, and what you guys do as artists, on a daily basis for the community, for the audience, for humanity is so necessary, and that's why a show like this is so fresh, because it did take a big chance, right? And it is so followed for I don't know how long, forever, and you guys are doing it. You're the faces of it, and you're doing it brilliantly. And I think that just can't be forgotten either. It's what you're putting out with this show means so much to so many people. So I hope you're both taking that in as well.
Yeah, I think another really amazing thing about this run and this show that is this idea that we're introducing a lot of people to Broadway as well. We've seen from so many different parts of the world people coming up and saying this is their first Broadway show, and the fact that it's this one that I think was, that has been studied by most people that have done musical theater in some capacity, that is, as you said, beloved by so many people who love musical theater. But to see that bubble kind of opening up a little bit and introducing a totally new audience to a piece that a lot of us have loved for a long time is such an exciting and important thing. And more than anything, I think that's the thing I'm most proud of in this, is to have been a part of introducing people that may not have gone to see a Broadway show while they were in town for 2 weeks, coming and experiencing something that we all know and love is it's a magical thing to go to the theater and see a live performance, and really, really fun to hear that feedback.
Yeah, 100%. And I know this question's like picking your favorite pet or kid, but is there a song for each of you that you just love to do? Like every night, every day, you're like, come on now, it's my time, let's go.
It changed. It used to be I Can Do Better Than That, which is near the end of the show for me. But now it's actually Still Hurting, which people are like, what? That's the saddest one. But if you listen, Jason Robert Brown, incredible composer, one of the greatest composers of our time in musical theater, in my opinion. And the way that he wrote that song, there's so much space. There's like negative space, right, in the song. And it's almost like you're waiting to hear what Jamie has to say. And I just think there's something so beautiful about the way in which he crafted that song. And the chords of the song actually resonate throughout the show if you're listening carefully. And I think because it sets up the show in the way that it does, I find it so beautiful. I find such beautiful moments in it every single night now. And I absolutely love singing it. And I also love hearing people sniffling in the audiences. It's just like the first number and people are already weeping. And I just think it's a powerful number. And I now understand why so many girls sang this in school.
Yeah, you do it beautifully. You really do. And what about you, Nick?
Well, I'm Still Hurting is one of my favorite songs of all time. Outside of my connection to the show, I would play it on nights where we'd have friends over, and we would do this game where we basically pick like a theme for that round, that everyone takes the phone and plays DJ and plays a song that applies to the theme. And I would like find a way to make the theme become
You're
something.
such a theater kid.
Yeah, and so I could play this song. And then as far as the one that I like to sing, I mean, Nobody Needs to Know is, I think it's got the most soul. I don't mean that in the sense of like, so it's like a soulful song. Like it's more R&B in its sort of like musical palette than a lot of the rest of the show for Jamie. And I love that, and I love that I was empowered to lean into that part of it in the way that I'm singing the song. And that is one thing that was really liberating and empowering about, I think, both of our experience. I don't want to speak on your behalf, but Whitney really lifted us up in our what we brought to these characters, not just in the acting performances, but vocally, and really worked alongside Jason Robert Brown and the musical team to find ways to highlight that and to allow for it to be different than it has been performed in the past. And with that song in particular, I really feel like I was given agency to kind of make it my own in a way vocally, which makes it really fun to sing, although it's a really sad song about kind of ruining your life, which is...
Show's so happy. Come if you haven't.
But I really enjoy singing it, and I think, after this experience, I'll keep it in my songbook. There are times when I do, some gigs where it makes sense for me to pull out something from the different shows that I've been fortunate enough to be a part of, and that one will certainly stay in there.
That's really cool. It's like a little piece will be with you forever from this
Yes.
experience, which is really, really cool. I think that, for me, this is also a show. You good? Yeah. Okay, good. Just
I'm
making
out.
sure. Okay, we're good. For me, this is also, yes, it's a very deeply emotional and sad show in many ways, but I think that a lot of people can relate, which is why it's so, for everyone that has seen it and maybe has been in a relationship perhaps like that, I think you feel things so deeply from your performances and from the material that's given and that we see on that stage. Do you pull from your lives for roles like this, or do you keep it totally separate?
I'll go first quickly and just. I think that I have found like substitution in my acting work to be helpful at times and really frightening. Meaning, like I'm gonna replace what's happening in this scene with something I've experienced and imagine that's what's happening to me from this actual experience that I've lived. Or what would happen if someone I love, like this happened to us, how would it make me feel? And then you put that into the performance. But I think that with this, because of the journey that Jamie takes, is one that I think is really difficult, and I will never go through. And I think that replacement was not the key. For me, it was just about listening to every single word that I'm saying, obviously, but also most importantly what Kathy's saying. I was studying the material and I thought I knew it so well, and then I got into it and went, oh my God, I had no idea that that's what the actual word was there, or that this musical moment came in this way because of this other thing. And there's all these connection points, and it just shows the quality of the writing and Jason's ability to tell this story, not just through words, but through the music. And his use of the English language is actually extraordinary, where there's connecting words that you think, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way at all, you think don't matter, an and instead of a but, or a but instead of an and, those types of things, and then you realize just how important it is once you have the time and the ability to sit with someone as brilliant as him and hear him explain why. And so as a songwriter, I was really inspired to go in and just get better at writing music, but to try to do things, that sound great and are exciting to listen to, but just have that real intentionality, and that's something that I think he mastered in this show. But to answer your question. No, substitution of word was just about listening to the words and really, again, trying to stay present in it.
For me, I came to this character, I came to Kathy with a perspective and a point of view, but, and I think I've been Kathy. There are moments in my life where I feel like I've been Jamie. I have been the girl trying to make her way in New York City. I'm from Virginia. None of my family is here. I came here with a dream and a hope and a prayer and $10 in my pocket, and so I have had that experience. So yes, taking that, bringing that point of view into this character, into this show, definitely. But similarly to what Nick is saying, we actually spent the first half of our rehearsal not singing at all, just speaking the lyrics. And when you have the composer in the room, and I actually asked Jason, can you do me a favor? I've heard this done so many different ways. Can you just play what you wrote? And when he played what he initially wrote, I went, well, I've never heard anybody sing that. And then and he told me why. And because this is a show that is loosely based off of his life, I know that there's intention behind every choice that he made as an artist, as a composer. And I wanted to honor that. And then find my way as an artist to put my little stamp on it as well. But that was the most important thing. And when he shared those stories with me, or he shared that intention about that lyric or intention about that chord, that did all the work for me. And the work that Whitney White, our director, did with Nick and I, and just creating trust and relationship, I didn't need to substitute any relationship or anything into that. And of course, what you go through in life, you may be thinking about it before the show, but you find ways, hopefully, to use it in a way that is safe. Sometimes it can be dangerous bringing in your life in that way, but that's, I found, has been really helpful, just staying true to the lyric and what Jason wrote. It does all the work you need.
Well, that's really cool. It's always fun to hear how artists get into the zone and create these characters, whether it's from their life or fresh or from what's right in front of them. Okay, we have some amazing audience questions. I am not responsible for anything I'm about to say, so let's see what we got. Christine Row D 105, very specific. I love that. From Christine Row D 105, what advice do you have for someone studying musical or performance theater? My niece, Maddie Lyons. My niece, Maddie Lyons. Christine, what does that mean? Oh!
Wrote it for your niece.
I love that. Okay, great.
Got it. Okay. Oh, continue.
There's more. Oh, okay, Christine.
Thank you, Christine.
She is studying at Pace now. You know, we could have used a little arrow right there, but it's fine. She's studying at Pace now. P.S. We are seeing this play at the end of May.
Oh, great.
So advice.
My advice would be don't box yourself in. Continue to be a student of the world. Continue to learn all kinds of music. The second someone thinks they know what you can sing and what you can do, you always can surprise them with something else. And I think that has been one of the greatest gifts is every role that I've been given, I walked into that room thinking I could not do it. Or that it was too much of a challenge for me, or how dare I? And every single time I came in that room as a student, and every single time it changed my life.
It's a great answer.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, and everything she said. And do improv. I mean, she should take some improv classes. I've didn't go to a musical theater school. My training kind of happened in the work I was doing, both on Broadway as a kid, and then as I started acting more. And
He was a principal in like his first show on Broadway.
Truth.
But when I got into my early teens, I started taking improv classes and doing improv work with a person that's been a mentor to me, an amazing performer named Rob McClure. And it was really important to my ability to have empathy and compassion as a performer, as an artist, and also I think made my performances over time more dynamic, and I think it's an important tool that everyone should have in their repertoire.
All right, that's some great advice. Thank you for that. The next
Good
question.
luck to your niece.
Yes,
Yeah.
good luck to her. Thank you for that. Shelley has a question for you, Nick. Nick, you recently shared that it was your decision to make Jamie a New York basketball fan. What other personal touches did you bring to the role of Jamie?
Go Knicks. Yeah, it's
He was so good. Like, he wanted to do this so bad. Like, he was like, Adrienne, I'm going to make content about Jamie being a Knicks fan. I was like, okay.
Content is key, guys. So that's one, obviously the sports fan thing. But there was like a little list in the back of my head of things and ways to make Jamie dynamic and living, breathing person. And none of us in this room are any one thing. There are things about us and our where we come from, our background, our families that all matter and are part of our story, but no one thing defines you. I think that as much as you can add to the plate at first and then start to see what really matters or is something that adds value or contributes to making that person seem like a living, breathing being, the better. And you have to be willing to let things go too along the way. And that's something that I loved about this process was we would each come in with big ideas and we would like try different things and maybe feel really passionate about a certain thing one day, and then the next we realize it wasn't as important as we thought it was, and this was actually the thing to focus on. But I think it's really a wonderful experience to get to bring something to life and know that what's on the page is so good that you can just jump off from there and have fun with it and make your character a Knicks fan.
We love it. We love to see it. Thank you, Shelley, for the question. This one is from Crystal. What is one number you would love to perform from each other's set?
Moving Too Fast, definitely. Ooh, I sing it backstage with you every day. You don't know. Now you do.
I'd love to hear you sing it. We actually thought it'd be funny to just do a show where we just switch roles.
Yeah, yeah.
Just don't tell anyone. Just start the show that way.
I mean, the funny part, it would work still, obviously, and that's what makes it brilliant.
Oh, you doing Summer in Ohio? Yes.
Never mind, it's a terrible idea.
Do you want to do a little?
No, thank you.
No? Okay.
I'm contracted to play the role of Jamie and Jamie only. Yeah, I actually did sing "I'm Still Hurting" at Misfit, which was Miscast.
Misfits.
Yeah.
Miscast.
It's been a long week. Miscast, and I really enjoyed singing that song, but I think it's actually the audition sequence. I love that whole bit. I would have fun with that. I sing that backstage. There's like this one, yeah. There's this one moment in the show where I can, sort of like cool down. There's like this little area. It's like a kitchen that's next to the stage. It's so strange, but it's an old theater and it's got this little room. So I go in there, I tell that I'm singing along, and I'm also, that's the one moment I can check the score of the Knicks game on my phone. Mm-hmm. And yesterday when I opened my phone, no, it's fine. It's all good. It did just start playing a song really loudly, though. And it was during Goodbye Till Tomorrow.
And I was blaming it on the audience, and it was Nick the whole time.
But I was gonna come in today and be like, whose phone was that? Just immediately get ahead of it. I didn't do that. I was honest with you.
You were. Thank you.
Okay, we love to see it. I love that. Thank you for that question. Next up, Tina H. wants to know what song has evolved the most for you since the beginning of the show?
Moving Too Fast.
Yeah.
So the brilliant Cooperman brothers choreographed our show, and they had a lot of
Tony winners, Cooperman Brothers.
They had a lot of amazing ideas. This is kind of what I was talking about before. You put everything on the plate, and you sort of see at the end what really needs to be there to complete the dish. I don't know what the analogy is here, but you get what I'm saying. And during the early process of Moving Too Fast, I was eager to have it be really physical. So I was sort of like pushing for there to be all these like, jumps up and down these platforms and different things. And it's an already very hard song to sing. And for whatever reason, I was like punishing myself, trying to make it even harder. And they were so cool and were game to try anything. But very wisely, pulled me back a bit, and we're like, we also don't need to do like you jumping off a platform and swinging off this thing. But I think that was a really wonderful example of how, the creative process has to go on its journey and be whatever it's going to be. And, brilliant collaborators and teammates like that are going to let you do it and then pull you back to where you need to be able to do it 8 shows a week and to sing it well and all those things. So after we had stripped it back a bit, I was like, wait, this is so easy to sing this song. And so I started to think, did they use like reverse psychology?
Yeah.
And if that is true, then wow, that's another layer. Mm-hmm.
That was also you, because Nick is fearless, and he would literally try everything, and I'd be on the side, be like, 8 shows a week, 8 shows a week. But it was kind of incredible to watch that process. He's pretty fearless. For me, I think, I don't know. I think a lot of my things evolved quite a bit. Y'all, I was dancing a lot when we first put this thing together, and then it just kind of was like, I have to change clothes. Like, when is it going to happen? And then we started just kind of stripping everything back. Summer in Ohio still ended up being what it was. But I think for me, just in the run of the show, that number has evolved a lot. It used to be very... Now, for those who don't come, I want to ruin it for you. Maybe the audition scene as well. I don't want to ruin it for you, but Summer in Ohio, there's a trunk. I'm doing a lot of things with the trunk. It's a whole thing. And but then the audition scene, I actually don't know how that's going to go. It's improv, actually, every single night.
No way.
Surprise! So I know the very last one is set because there's all that banter in the middle of it. But the second one, the piano player, whoever's playing that night, they actually are in control. So I don't know what's going to happen.
No way.
Yeah, so it's up to
Wow.
me to just kind of jump head first and see when sometimes it gets crazy. But it's really fun. It's fun that way.
Well, that's why you guys do what you do. Truly, it's amazing. All right, we have 2 questions. We're almost out of time, so we're going to go through these quick so we can get both in for y'all. For both of you, in what ways do you see yourselves in Jamie and Kathy, and what ways do you not?
I relate to his ambition, clearly, but I think that I am not like him because I have some guardrails that I've set for myself to protect that my life stay healthy and as happy as I hope it can be and all that. And I feel like I'm a lot like Kathy sometimes too. I think that's the great part about this show is that it's by no means gender specific. These are just 2 individuals who happen to be male and female going on a journey and telling a story, but it could easily be reversed. And you know, I think that when I listen to some of these songs, and specifically in the earlier part of the show where she's going through the hurt that she's going through, we've all been through things like that in our life, and if you haven't, then
Good for you.
good for you. But you know those dynamics in relationships are not exclusive to romantic relationships either. There's friendships and even family relationships where you can see elements of, you know, all of our sort of lives and collective lives in these characters, which is why I think this show has been as well received as it has been for so long. Yeah. So I'm a lot like both and not like them in a lot of ways too.
Mm-hmm.
I think really quickly for me, I didn't think I was like Kathy at all. And because of Whitney's vision, I now see so much of myself in her. Kathy and I are pretty similar now.
I love that. I love that. And that was from Anisha. Thank you. And final question from Tara L. Besides this show, what are some of your favorite Broadway shows? Let's limit it to 3 each.
You want to go first?
I'll do one. Aida. No. No, I'd actually only want to be Amneris if I ever did that.
I'm going to start with a kind of a random one, but I love it. Avenue Q, I just love so much.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, 1 more each.
Okay.
We're just saying we're like theater kids, but we're not. But we are. It's weird.
I mean, I have seen this show 8 times, probably, maybe more. And it really never gets old to me. And I'm not the only person that feels this way, obviously, because it's been running forever in the West End. Phantom of the Opera. I just love
classic.
it.
Yes,
Yep.
that's a classic. That's a good
Okay,
one.
we love that. And 1 more for you.
Oh, I do.
Come on.
Okay. Oh my God. I love Wicked just because it, changed, I think, all of our lives when we saw it as growing up. Yeah.
All right, solid choice. Well, I think I speak on behalf of everyone in this room when I say thank you. Thank you for your artistry. Thank you for your gifts. You both are brilliant, and we are so lucky to share in your art. And truly, we look forward to everything you guys continue to do. Go see the show. It is great. Get your tickets, and thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming, y'all.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.